of this pamphlet that is on your table, and it has a bio of each speaker's information on there. So I encourage everybody to take a peek and read that. Take it away.
It's a privilege to be with you. I want to thank you for your prayer. When we started this work, we recognized that we were not just working with the students that were in the cohort that I'm going to talk to you about today. We recognized that if we were successful in creating shifts towards education and educational opportunities and educational access, that we were affecting the next 5 generations. The next 100 years of our community are going to be affected by the work that we're doing. And I believe that to be true here in Winnipeg as well. Last 24 hours has been amazing to sit through and learn and go deeper into the opportunity that is before this community. And it is truly inspiring work. So I'm from Indiana. My day job is a YMCA director. I'm a city kid who now lives in my first ever small community. Okay, I grew up in San Diego. I've lived in south of Chicago, Fort Wayne, Indiana, which is the second largest city in Indiana if you're not good with your geography. And now in Wabash, which is about 45 minutes away from Fort Wayne. I am of Canadian descent. I knew that, but I went on my Ancestry.com last night and I was working it because I want to know where from Canada I was from and what I could find out. And so I'm from Ontario, or my great-great-grandfather was a farmer in Ontario. So there's my linkage. Today I'm going to talk to you about the work that we stumbled upon beginning about 4 years ago. I was new to the role of the YMCA CEO. And when you think of the Y, you might be thinking about different things, right? Recreation, fitness, those kind of things. But the Y, especially for some of us, is really way deeper than that. It's about how do we unlock human potential? How do we change, strengthen community at its core? And so we do that in 3 buckets: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. And as we were surveying this community that has some tremendous need, community of about 34,000 people, high levels of low income, agriculture and industrial-based community. Only 1 in 4 in our workforce had a degree or certification beyond high school. And they had done some tremendous work about educational high school attainment, but even the kids that had the capacity to pursue some kind of education beyond were falling off, okay? Many of them are first generation. And so we were working with summer learning loss prevention and made some really, really deep connections with our schools, and I was at an event where all of the families have to come through and get registered for school, okay? It's over a 2-day period, and I watched the entire school district, their parents and their kids, walk right past, engage with the YMCA table, because the YMCA is fun, right? It's fun to play at the YMCA. But right next to us was the College Choice 529 account, which is our version of college savings accounts. 0 people stopped, 0 accounts established. And at the end of the second day, I went over and I was talking to Tamika. She wasn't from our community. She was from Indianapolis. And was telling her about the work that we're doing, and she ended up giving me this folder. She says, "Clint, we tried it, and we failed. We built this thing, we spent tons of money, we spent tons of man hours, we did it." And just for kicks, some of you have already heard the story, but they had every 5th grader in Indianapolis come down to the city to do this walkathon, to raise money to go into their college savings accounts. And kids had no idea why they were there to walk. 0 accounts were established. And here's the kicker. This is the icing on the cake. 2 kids fell in the canal. Okay, it was a train wreck, right? And then they tried it again, and 2 accounts were established. And so at that point, they're like, We thought we had a good idea, not so good. She said, but you guys might be able to do something with it. I invited our superintendent of schools over, and I said, Mr. Callahan, what do you think if we did this? Boom, 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 boom. His number was bigger than mine. One of the reasons why I really like that guy. And I said, Tamika, quantify what success would look like. We're talking about college savings accounts for kids, right? Something that there's a huge disparity from low-income families being able to access an established college savings account. Quantify what success would look like. She said, if you got 100 kids to begin to save for college, you would be our state poster children. So Jason and I, who started working on it for 6 months together, then we started talking with all segments of our community and just and building a piece, diving into research, because we don't want to just do things that we think sound good. We want to see what does the research say about what shapes a child's identity towards college and careers. And so 1 year to the day of that conversation with Tamika, we didn't establish 100 accounts. We established 1,100 accounts. We helped move our community in this 4 grade level cohort from 6% with a college savings account to 72% with a college savings account. Something that had never been seen in the state of Indiana, and in that model nationally. And so today I get to share just briefly, we won't go super deep, but I just briefly share some of the learnings and some of the elements that we use just to help shape some of the conversations. Foundational learning for us came from the Gallup Research Group that says hope is a better predictor of success than test scores or attendance. Hope, it goes on to say, hope is not easy to build, but it can be done, but only on a local level, right? And so this goes back to my opening story. The state of Indiana said, we got a great idea. We're going to do a walkathon. Well, they're not equipped to permeate into community on grassroots level to activate awareness and the conversations through things. But they are equipped with other significant opportunities to help infuse communities to be their own solution, to activate change, to set policy that is more inclusive. And so we diving into this, and we had to also look at ourselves. What were we doing, and what did we need to do different? And one of those things was we thought about talking to kids about college and careers when they were this age instead of this age. I don't know if you guys know the geography of the U.S., but Indiana is like right in the middle, right? We're a Midwest state. I love the fact that this little girl right down here, her dream in kindergarten is to be a dolphin trainer. We might be exporting her talent to a different part of the country, but these kids are dreaming about what they want to be before they've already determining what they cannot be. Because that's what we know. We are missing the opportunity to infuse hope and engage kids because we weren't talking to them early enough in the pipeline. So we turn to research. What does help shape this identity? And here are the research elements in a model form, and we'll go through these things quickly. People in their life that says, you're an awesome investment, and I believe in you. College savings and the power of assets. Big learning for us was this parental expectations piece. We thought, we measured pre, we measured post, we're going to increase parental expectations. And guess what we found? We did not. Why? And it was very affirming when we found out this piece, that virtually all parents, when their children are born and early, have expectations and aspirations that their child will pursue education beyond high school. Virtually all. Okay? What happens is, over time, they run into some challenges. They run into some barriers. They don't know what steps to take. Their child has a bad grade on a test. They struggle with some sort of element, and the durability of that expectation begins to lessen. So where we thought going into this, we're asking questions, and we're like, expectation matters. It does. but maintaining the expectations of that is the critical force. We're also dealing with major gaps in awareness and major gaps in access, that a child can discover what college is. And it's not just a four-year institution, it's learning beyond high school. So it could be a lot of different things. But what does that look like? And many of our students had never been on a university campus. Many of our kids have never had those conversations because their families had never had those conversations. Then we found about the power of asset building. And the different research studies have indicated that kids with a college savings account, anywhere from 3 to 7 times more likely to attend and over 4 times more likely to graduate from university. So from a university perspective, as we're talking with universities, the retention of students means increased dollars infused in education, right? It means more support that the universities get. This is a big deal for universities. We can help with the retention of students in their programs. So Time Magazine identified Michael Sherrodden as one of the 100 most influential leaders in the world. That's a pretty big list. He's the founder for the Center for Social Development. His research on asset building really was foundational in our development of what we were doing. Assets change the way people think. Income feeds their stomachs. Assets help them think about the future, change their heads. I love the way he says this. Assets are hope in a concrete form. It's one thing to talk to a child and say, this is what I think of you and believe you. That's an important piece. But when you're actually doing something tangible, where that kid knows that somebody is making an investment in me, it becomes real. And we've already talked a little bit about this. This was introduced to us along our journey. And the CEO of the largest organization in Northeast Indiana gave this copy to the superintendent and then the next morning I get a text, skip to chapter 10, read chapter 10, go back and read the rest of the book later. And it was the power of education and how to do these things. So must be driven locally. This was another major learning for us. Social entrepreneurs. Where other people see problems, they view the villagers as the solutions. Okay? And then we're not doing things for, they're not passive beneficiaries, they're active participants in solving their own problem. Folks are not empowered by you doing something for them, they're empowered by you helping them do it for themselves, and that's true for communities as well. And so as we're looking at how do we overcome this barrier of only 6% of kids having an account, we said, how can we include families and students in the community in our own piece? So we had to change our thinking. In the past, we have been very, very reactive, right? So, or unintentional, if we want to call it that as well. So if there was something good, let's say the Canada Learning Bond, and we said, hey, this is $2,000 of free money, you should do it. That would be a good, honest statement. But intentional, proactive, is having a system in place or integrated into existing systems to help the families streamline the process and get it done so it's done. See, both are positive. One is something that produces change and activity. So here's what we quickly do. We took a process that was overwhelming. Sometimes the enrollment packets are 70 pages. It takes 20, 30 minutes to do, okay? And we made it into a process that was 3 minutes. During school registration, you sign up for your bus transportation, you sign up for your lunches, and you sign up for your college savings account. And what we did was we didn't have Tamika from Indianapolis come up because Tamika's not from our community. Folks know that she's not from our community. She doesn't look like me. She doesn't talk like me. So when we have our teachers, when we have our local community leaders there to say, we care about success of your child, and we have secured resources to help make the investment, then it's absorbable because some of my defenses are down. I use this analogy sometimes. Have you ever been into a place where you did not feel comfortable? Like you're in a new place and somebody says, would you like something to drink? Would you like coffee or water? And you say, no, I'm okay. I'm okay, thank you. There might be a variety of reasons why you say no. You might be really thirsty, but you don't want to seem needy. You don't want them to be burdened, whatever, and you say no. Your natural reaction is no. If only a fraction of our population knows what a college savings account is and what it entails, what do you think their first reaction is going to be? No, thank you. And so integrating it, streamlining it, making it so that it's not this scary piece is a critical step in our success, and then celebrating those moments with the child. So these pictures are the teachers then write the child's name on the certificate, and they hand the child the certificate and say, congratulations, you now have a college savings account. And Parkview Health put the first $25 in. And you know what the kids do? They go over to the adult they're with and they pull on their sleeve and they say, I have $25. And some of these kids have never had $25. And we were able to say, you know what, and you're going to get more. And see, now I'm going to pause and reveal my jealousy for what's happening in Canada, okay? You guys aren't talking about $25 incentives. You're talking about thousands of dollars of incentives. You're talking about game-changing money, right? And the 25 is just our first of several incentives, but what you have, the infrastructure here, it's an access opportunity. And so I'm very jealous. Then we have the kids do the creative piece, integrated into the classroom. What do I want to be when I grow up? Now, kids are creative, right? We had a doctor. He had two kids. One of his kids wanted to be a doctor. The other one wanted to be an angry bird. Okay? That's in case not technology. That's an app on your phone that you throw bird heads at things and you knock them down and you win. So maybe that kid's going to be an app designer. We don't know what it's going to be. We had one little girl who wants to be a lactation consultant. Awesome, but celebrating. And then it sparks the conversations like we're riding down the road and my boy says, hey, Dad, once you choose, can you change? And I said, yeah, are you talking about what you want to be? And he's like, yeah, once you choose, can you change? And I said, sure, bud, you can change. He's like, good. I want to do what you do. I want to work at the Y. And then his second grade sister yells, me too, I want to work in Child Watch, Child Watch is our little 2-hour drop-in babysitting when the people are working out. Cool. You want to care for kids, Cal? That's awesome. Then we do something which seems ridiculous, seems crazy. We put a couple thousand kids on a university campus. Kids that are kindergarten, first, second, third grade. But we don't just walk around and look at buildings. We had them engage with college students. We had them blow up some stuff, okay? Mentos in Diet Coke creates a reaction if you haven't done that science experience. They're touching art, they're doing those kind of things. And then it feeds the conversations like this. This is my favorite story. I'll share you two stories with this group. The first story is a new one for my people that have been with some of the other meetings. We did a random drawing of four students and gave them, because our college savings account is called 529, we gave 4 $529 gifts into these kids' college savings accounts. And we did it live. We have big checks, and we invite them up. And this little girl, we called her name, and you could see it from when she first started coming to the podium, and you could see it building. Like she's doing this, right? She's doing this, and I don't know what's going to come, right? I don't know what's coming out, but something's coming out because she's doing this. And she got up to this stage, and she said, I am so proud of myself, right? And then she went home, and she told her mom she won $5.29. And I knew this little girl's grandmother. And I said, no, she won $529. But again, these are life experiences, right? Now, I had the privilege of being one of that girl's champions. We'll talk about the champion process. She came and talked to me. Grandma had her come talk to me, and I said, I'd love to be your champion. And I asked her what she wanted to be. She wants to be a veterinarian. And I encouraged her, and then I gave her the funds for them to put in the college savings account. And she looked up at her grandma and she said, "Grandma, maybe when Mom gets out of jail, she won't take this money too." Okay? Because we don't know all of the struggles that kids face, but they face struggles. So one of the ways we deploy the villagers to be their own solution is have kids they may not be able to write their name, but they can draw their picture, and they can draw the pictures of people in their lives that are going to encourage and support them. And they can do that formational stuff, and then we turn them loose. And now, which of you are going to say no to a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid who says, "This is what I want to be when I grow up, would you give me $5? If you would say no, okay? No, even if you really don't like the kid, you're going to say yes, okay? Because we make it small, and then what we do is when they raise a small amount of money, $25 from the champions, then there's another community match so that we can do that through their elementary school and help them build. So we started off Wabash County. We said, well, the state of Indiana, after we had those reactions, said, "Oh my goodness," and we formed a partnership. And so the counties in the red are Wabash, and then the first 3 pilot communities that we ran last year. And then the counties in blue are the 4 that we've just onboarded this year to take on this work. And then the counties in yellow are the ones that are prepping their process to launch in 16 or 17. What I love about this work is that we're not just creating access for families with significant resources, although we are bringing those families to the table. But we're seeing a 10 times increase of families that are low-income families. We're seeing a 400% increase in families that are in that middle income group. And that goes against the trends or what's happening in the US. One of the ways that we're able to do that is through deep partnerships with our schools. They see this as the schools see their vantage point of this will help educational attainment. This will help success in the classroom. Where previously they haven't looked at a college savings account as their job. We went from 9% in all 4 of those counties to 71% of families learning about this because it's integrated, because it's discussed into the existing systems. And then the teachers saw some significant outcomes too, and these are just several of our outcomes, but exposure to college and careers, excitement about their futures, and the school-wide conversation about what I want to be when I grow up. I'll show you just a quick, this is one of our pilot communities from this last year. And it just gives you a visual of some of the opportunities to shape that college and career identity.
All right, we're going to do a little chant. You guys can repeat after me, okay? I can achieve my dreams. That's really what this is all about today. Your community has made a promise to you that you can achieve your dreams. You can go to college and you can have an experience like this. I think the most exciting thing about the Noble County Promise is it's an opportunity to light a fire for these kids, to build a spark that they have an opportunity to achieve their dreams and do anything that they want to do. That any circumstances that might exist for their life shouldn't be those limitations, that the community is going to rally around them and help to ensure that they can do anything they want to do. We've had the opportunity to talk to kids during their back-to-school night about saving for the future, saving for college, and we got the opportunity to coordinate with Huntington University to bring 2,400 students here today. I think that's the really exciting part about Noble County Promise, because not only does it bring educators together, it brings economic development together, along with local industry. They're supporting, investing in those kids' futures and investing in their college savings. Educators can't do it alone. We need the entire community.
The County Promise is really about providing kids with hope. It's about bringing together the community, parents, schools, businesses, and even the faith community to surround kids so that fewer and fewer of our kids slip through the cracks, so that any kid who wants to go on to college can do so.
At Parkview Health, we believe in building healthier communities together. We're committed to that, and so that's why we support and are part of this 529 Promise Initiative in Northeast Indiana. Our commitment has been for every child who chooses to set up a 529 plan to make that first $25 deposit to get them started and get them on their road to college. Kids are 7 times more likely to go to college when they have a 529 plan. And so we know that this can be the start of a great future for each of these kids. I see the future when I look at this group. We know that 20 years from now, 60% of our jobs are going to require an education beyond high school. And we need these kids to have that opportunity to reach their full potential and to stay here in Indiana, providing great contributions to our communities.
This event for me is about bringing Noble County together to promote educational opportunities for young people. And the impact will be long-standing, it'll be measurable in the future, and it will create a different economic opportunities for Noble County as a whole.
We were thrilled. What a great opportunity for our students, our faculty, and our staff, not only to give back to our community, but to help raise up a next generation of students to pursue not only a college education, but lifelong learners. Well, I think as an institution of higher education, I think sometimes we focus only on the end product for us, which is the undergraduate student, but the reality is if we can continue to help move kids through that pipeline to the college experience, we can be a bigger partner in this picture.
I think we need the media involved. I think this is a story that really should be a national story. What they've done here in Indiana with getting this many counties and this many children together to get those plans started, what they've accomplished is something we should be duplicating at a national level. Again, one day on one campus where you're starting off a couple thousand college savings plans, again, those are efforts we should be duplicating all over the nation.
So as I wrap up here, I hope in that video you've seen that this isn't the YMCA doing a program, right? We had a realization that if we were going to create significant change, then we could convene and bring people together, but it had to be owned by our leaders in education. It had to be owned by our economic development and workforce. It had to be owned by our governmental agencies. It had to be owned by our faith community and by our social service community. And if we did that and allowed each group to plug in to the effort in the ways that most resonated with their passions, then we could create some significant change. So when you hear our Director of Economic Development or the state of Indiana talk about our work, they're talking about workforce development, they're talking about job creation and retention. Why? Because it's the best economic development strategy that they can see. When we hear about people about education, they're seeing it as a way to help this thing be relevant right now. I didn't tell you the other story about the little guy who looked up at the college student. So we had a first grader look up at one of the college students and said, "Hey, what's your bedtime?" And the college student looked down at him and shook his head a little bit, and he's like, "We don't have a bedtime. We go to bed whenever we want." And the kid said, "I'm going to college." Okay, my favorite story of the whole journey, right? Just, I'm going to college. Why? Because in 3rd grade, I didn't want to go to college. I'm like, who wants to go to college? Just 4 more years of this school crap. I don't want to go to that. But that little guy is jazzed. He's excited about the future is ahead of him, right? Not based on factual. My kids want to go to Manchester University because when on their visit, they had an ice cream machine, you know? I don't care why you want to go to Manchester University. Just want to go to a university. Just want to go and pursue and become the best you can be. So keeping kids excited and engaged in the process is very important. But then how do you create the Mentos Diet Coke experience, right? You have the Canada Learning Bond is in this bottle of pop, okay? And the Winnipeg Boldness Project and this specific effort is the Mento. And when you create the opportunities to get the Mentos into the Diet Coke, guess what's gonna happen? Unlimited potential, okay? It's gonna lead to other community collaborations. It's gonna lead to other opportunities. And you know what? Is there difficulty along the way? Are there things that you're gonna have to sort out? Because you have unique community with unique folks and unique opportunities? Absolutely. But it can be done because you guys are driving this from a local level. So it's a privilege to be with you. It's a privilege to support your work. And thank you for welcoming me to my first 2 days in Winnipeg. And with that, I'll turn it over to, thank you.